So here's my boots. That's the boots we had in '76. They were just used. We used to play on the grass with those. Here's a ball from Montreal. There's a ball, leather ball, and here's the stick. This is one of the sticks we had, a vampire. Yeah, we got given 4 sticks, Dom, and first time I think we'd ever been given sticks. We'd always had to buy our sticks. So Hockey New Zealand gave us 4 sticks, and when we finished, I remember throwing one up into the stand. And I thought, this is ridiculous. Why am I throwing away a stick? So I kept one. That's it. I remember when I first represented New Zealand way back in 1965. It was an incredibly proud moment. My father had been a New Zealand player, and he was very proud that I first got selected, and I can remember it was the first time I played for New Zealand. I was in Australia. We went on a tour, one of those long 5-week tours, and so I played 2 tests over there against Australia in 1965. I mean, each time I played for New Zealand, it was a very proud moment. The national anthem plays, you're standing there and you realise the responsibility on you. You always want to play your best, obviously, and hopefully get a good result. My first international was in Hobart against Australia. We lost 2-0, and the next day we played in Melbourne and drew 0-0. So I had a loss and a draw in my first 2 internationals. Again, they were against Australia.
How did you play?
How did I play?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was only 19. How did I play? I can't remember being particularly impressed with the way I played, but I was put in at centre half, and I can remember the first game being pretty quick. The second game actually was very wet and muddy in Melbourne, and that game was not particularly enjoyable, but the one in Hobart was a real test match, and we had a few chances, but Australia just were a bit better than us on that day. But my record against Australia over the years was pretty good. I happened to be here when we had quite a number of wins and draws. It was only since that time Australia has got the better of us over quite a number of years now, obviously.
I suppose I had the distinction of being the youngest ever player to play for New Zealand when I went to represented New Zealand against. We toured Australia in 1965 with a quite a young team, because essentially the team that went to Tokyo in 1964 weren't very successful. So I think about only 3 or 4 of them were retained, and a lot of young people were brought in, and I just happened to be the youngest.
How old were you, and did you quite grasp the gravity of representing New Zealand?
I think I thought it just took it naturally, because I sort of played. I played for Wanganui against the Indian side in 1964 at Cook's Gardens, and I'd gone to the Colts tournament in the same year in Palmerston North, playing for Western Districts, and we won that tournament. So it was just a continuation of surprises, really. I think I was too young to really grasp how significant that was. I mean, there was people like Selwyn Meister that went to Australia in 1965 with me. He was 18 or 19, I think. So it was like I was. There were other people around about my age there, so I sort of fitted in all right.
What contributed to your success in terms of your international hockey career? What got you to where you were?
Well, I had an exceptional coach, and I think all the people who played under Cyril Walter, CV as he was known, would say that he was instrumental in the success they had. He was quite exceptional. He was the Arthur Lydiard of hockey. people will know Arthur from athletics and his ability there. Cyril Walter was the hockey equivalent, and he coached, if you look at the Montreal team, he coached 7 or 8 of those players here in Christchurch over many years. So for me, he would be hugely instrumental in what I achieved. Everyone talks about the hard work and the perseverance, which is essential. You've got to work really hard. It doesn't matter how talented you are, it's how hard you work, which is really important. We didn't have a great legacy in men's hockey when I came into the team. We'd done very poorly in Tokyo in '64. Prior to that, Rome 60 and Melbourne 56, they'd done okay, but nothing startling. But what propelled that 76 team, or the 68, 72, 76 succession, was a strong rival between Auckland and Canterbury. Both provinces had really strong teams, and that really provided the impetus, the quality that lifted so many, at the time, 16 players up to be able to go and compete in Montreal, and indeed beyond that for a year or two.
The Olympics is such a huge event. I felt very much that was one of the better, because we'd played together for quite a while. Quite a lot of that team in 1976 had been to Mexico in 1968, 1968. And the rest of them had sort of been to Munich. So it was quite an experienced group that went in 1976. And so we went there with an aim, I think, of trying to make the semi-finals. And of course, once you get, if you can get into that sort of bracket, then there's anything's on. At that point in time, you weren't thinking of legacies or anything. It was a sense of achievement, I suppose. And '76 was quite special because I think I'd been involved with teams even going back to 1968, where we had beaten India first up. And we had to win one of the last 4 games to go through to the semi-final. We drew the whole lot. There were a lot of reasons for that, but which we couldn't control. But when you've been on the edge and it hasn't gone for you, then 76 was almost like, well, about time.
Well, we're a small country at the bottom of the world, and we perform on a huge stage. And I think whenever a New Zealand team, in whatever sport it is, does well, we feel particularly proud, and I do. We're only 5 million people, but we've got a strong heritage, which I think drives a lot of ambition and things within the country. So I remember a series here against India, 4 test matches, Whangarei, Auckland, Palmerston North, Christchurch. Fantastic series, huge crowds in all 4 centres, on grass of course, but very good grass fields, and that was just a real buzz to play in front of your home crowd, and that's an example of when it really meant a lot to be playing for New Zealand with the Silver Fern.
What does it mean to wear the fern on the world stage?
Oh, it's hard to explain. It's just where something I always wanted to do, and to achieve it, it's just so proud and just amazing. I think it symbolises a lot to a lot of people, and to think that I played at the top level and represented my country, I'll never ever ever forget that.
Seeing the Silver Fern gives me goosebumps. Like, I wear it, I put the shirt on, gives me goosebumps, but also I see other athletes on TV, I see them training when we're up in Auckland at the gym, and just to see what they go through to get to where they are is pretty incredible.
Yeah, I think the big thing is although we play different sports and it's basketball, netball, swimming, whatever it is, we're all in the same pool of being an athlete, and I think that's something that's really cool, is that everyone wears the fern, and to be able to wear the fern for not only hockey and not only sport itself and not only a woman in sport as well, but to wear a fern for your family, to wear a fern for the people that have helped you. And yeah, I think that's the cool thing about being able to put a fern on is to see how proud your family is, your friends are, those coaches that have helped you to get you where you are, obviously means a lot.
It's still so very surreal. I don't ask, you know, how many times have you put it on, but putting it on, it's just like a really special feeling, singing the anthem, knowing you're representing, you know, you're representing everyone out there, the teammates that, you know, were injured or not selected, you're representing them and all the hard work that you've done, but again, it's just working the steps through. That's the end goal, is to do that. And along the way, when you do all those hard trainings and you put everything into it and then you get that reward, it's, yeah, I don't really have the correct words, or I don't really know how to put into words what it feels like. But again, like I said, like, it's so surreal to realise that you've put on the shirt how many times, and you know, you are paving the way for others to come through and make names and enjoy everything like you have.
So I remember the day actually that we got our shirts put up in the pavilion, and it was a pretty special day. When we were younger, down here all the time, little turf rats, you'd see all the big names up on the wall and you'd be like, whoa, I want to be up there one day. And then to have your shirt put up there, every time I walk in there, I'm like, it kind of just still doesn't feel real that kids now look up to us the way that we did to people up there.
It must have been quite special to wear that black shirt.
To wear the black shirt? Yeah, oh well, you know, if you represent your country in any sport, it's something special, because you realise that not too many people get into that position. Well, it's a great honour, isn't it? It all, you know, you build on that, legacy, I suppose, of the firm and everyone that's gone before you.
How would you sum up your experience playing for New Zealand?
How would I sum it up? The sheer joy of it.